Tonight on Action Montreal. Bikes across borders, how a Montreal organization can turn your old bike into a poverty-fighting machine. Homeless at Concordia, find out why a group of students spent 5 frigid nights on the streets. And bunnies in distress. They're cute, cuddly, and homeless. We'll tell you what one group of animal lovers is doing about it. Good evening. I'm Sarah Hoyda, and welcome to Action Montreal. Here's Bridget Forbes with our top story.
Thanks, Sarah, and good evening. Most of us use our bikes to keep fit while doing our part for the environment. But in the developing world, a bike can mean the difference between poverty and prosperity. A Montreal organization is changing lives in Africa and Latin America, one used bike at a time. Beza Seifa brings us the story.
Today, these used bicycles fill a Montreal warehouse, but not for long. Soon they'll be shipped to the developing world, where their new owners will benefit from their pedal power. Instead of ending up in a landfill, they've been collected by Cyclo Nord Sud, a non-profit organization that will send them to 13 countries throughout Latin America and Africa.
The idea is so simple. I mean, you can really visualize the effect that your bike is here and it's going to be there and he's going to do that. I mean, in one image you get the project.
Donated bikes allow people to transport larger loads faster and further. The bikes may even become the basis for small businesses.
And the whole family is going to use the bike down there too. Right? So the father is going to use it to go to work, but it's going to help the kid to go to school too, and the mother to bring. So it's really appropriate to the reality of the economic situation there.
Marie-André Pailleur is one of only 3 employees who depend on over 500 volunteers in cities across Quebec. These volunteers organize bike collections, encouraging cyclists to donate their old bikes in exchange for a tax receipt. Gerardo Frankenberger coordinates the bike collections and liaises with partner organizations in the south.
We can fight poverty even with a bike, no? Sometimes you think we don't relate those two things, but we can really do change with some bikes.
Beza Seifa joins us now in studio. Beza, that's quite the organization. How many bikes have they sent so far?
They're actually coming up to a big milestone this year. They'll be sending bike number 25,000 to the developing world. When I spoke with Marie-André Pailleur from Cyclo Nord Sud, she said that most of those bikes will go to a bamboo farm in Cuba. That farm employs thousands of workers who currently have to travel long distances to get to work, and these bikes will help them get to the fields a lot faster. But they'll also help them in their personal lives as well. Single moms will be the first to receive the bikes.
Oh, that's interesting. And so when's the next bike collection?
Well, the next one here in Montreal will be on May 25th in NDG at the Étoile Filante School. For a complete rundown of all the bike collections, you can check out their website at www.cyclonordsud.com.
Thanks, Beza.
You're welcome.
Bikes aren't the only things getting reused. A local city councillor wants to keep your kitchen garbage out of the trash. City Councillor Stephen Erdely has started a composting program. It will give 500 homes a chance to put their organic waste to better use. In 4 months, residents have diverted 2 tons of trash from the garbage dump to the compost heap. Phase 2 starts next September, when all Côte Saint-Luc homes will be offered composting bins. Erdely wants Côte Saint-Luc to set an example for other cities who want to start their own composting programs.
Now we turn from table scraps to table service and a Montreal restaurant that lets you satisfy your hunger and your conscience. Nadia Housefather has a story you can sink your teeth into.
As legend goes, Robin Hood robbed from the rich to give to the poor. The legend has come to life in the form of a restaurant. Robin Hood Restaurant, known as Robin des Bois, is celebrating the launch of their new, larger location tonight. Judy Survey is the founder and general director of the restaurant.
We wanted to create a space where people can come and help and give back, but in a kind of light kind of setting. So the idea came of making a restaurant where all the profits would go back to the community, but a hip restaurant.
Most of the staff in Robin des Bois restaurant are volunteers. They wait tables and prepare food to support a good cause. Hilary Hansen has worked with many charities and now volunteers in the kitchen. She's also in cooking school and says the experience builds on her skills and is rewarding.
I've seen who's on the receiving end of some of the donations here at Robin des Bois, and I've seen how the most fragile people in our society live. So it's exciting to see something new and different and innovative being done, where people can contribute and really know where the end point is.
Last year, Robin des Bois donated a total of $30,000 to 6 local charities. Tom Kolchik is the Director of Emergency Services at Sun Youth. Funds from the restaurant go to services, like the food bank, that support families in crisis.
Hundreds of families are helped during the year, and part of that is due to the fact that Robin des Bois now gives us money on a yearly basis. It's been helping us a lot because they arrived at the right time when we had a lot of demands, and now we're expanding the programs.
Robin des Bois restaurant also provides relief for anyone who's having a bad day. For $5, you can break a plate before you eat in the next room. And know your anger is going to a good cause. For Concordia News, I'm Nadia Housefather.
That food looks amazing.
It really does.
What's in a name? A lot according to Montreal student Michael Citrome. He wants to rename Lionel Groulx Metro Station after jazz legend Oscar Peterson. Lionel Groulx Station is just west of Little Burgundy, where Peterson grew up. Lionel Groulx is an important but controversial figure in Quebec history who has been accused of racism. Citrome set up a Facebook group to spark the initiative. Last month, 90 people from Citrome's Facebook group showed up at a borough meeting to propose the change. So far, the city says they're not going to rename any metro stations.
Imagine giving up the comforts of home for 5 days in the middle of winter. In March, 3 students from Concordia's John Molson School of Business did just that, and it was all for a good cause. I met up with the students on day 3 of their week on the street to see what they'd learned.
These 3 Concordia students are willingly sleeping on the street, despite the miserable snow and sleet. They're taking part in 5 Days for the Homeless, a national campaign run by 10 business schools to raise money and awareness about homelessness.
It is not easy. I mean, the only thing that keeps us going is knowing that we have somewhere to go, somewhere to sleep, and a few days down the road. But to have that uncertainty would make things unbearable.
Adam Gold, Brian Chungwing, and Josh Redler eat regular meals donated by their supporters, and they know they're getting just a taste of homeless life.
I think as homeless students, right now, we're having an easy time, simply because of the gear that we have and the support that we have.
Despite that support, the students are getting a feel for the challenges of living on the street.
Half the people that don't know what you're doing walk by, and even though I stand there and wave and smile, they look at you really funny, turn their head, and just ignore you and keep walking straight.
So far, the students have raised $11,000. All of that money will go to Dans la Rue, a local organization that offers services to homeless youth. Each year, there are about 5,000 kids living on the streets of Montreal. Ginette Morancy of Dans la Rue stopped by on day 3 of the campaign to see how the students were doing.
They are getting a taste of what it is to live in the streets. The similarities are fighting the elements, for sure, lack of sleep, for sure. They know that it will end, which is a difference than what our kids go through.
The students will be on the street until Friday, and they hope to raise $15,000 before they go home.
And Sarah, by the time the students did go home, they'd raised more than $38,000 for Dans la Rue. That's more than double their original goal.
Every year at Easter time, thousands of people across North America buy live bunnies and later abandon them. Montreal animal shelters are spreading the word that Easter and rabbits, at least live ones, don't mix. Michelle Levy has this hair-raising story.
Elizabeth Dyer recently adopted her rabbit Bulle. Dyer is a technician at the Montreal Bird and Exotic Animal Hospital. Her rabbit had been abandoned by his original owners and spent months in foster care before she brought him home.
I have a weakness for dwarf rabbits, and I have a weakness for animals that have chronic health problems and that I feel that nobody's going to take care of them.
Many families buy bunnies for kids as an Easter gift. But what experts say people need to know is that rabbits don't make good pets for children. In fact, 20% of the rabbits at the SPCA are ex-Easter bunnies. Stephanie Embriaco is a coordinator at the SPCA on Jean Talon.
The parents who purchase for their children, they have to know that a rabbit is not a starter pet. It's sometimes mistaken with a rodent that doesn't live long, but what people don't know is rabbits can live up to 12 years.
Rabbits are the third most commonly abandoned animals. So, animal rescue centers are holding their annual awareness campaign to educate the public about the responsibilities of owning a rabbit.
It's a commitment. It's a life that you're taking into your home. You can't just get rid of it when it's not good enough for you anymore.
For families who do want to bring a bunny home for Easter, animal shelters and the SPCA ask that you make it a chocolate one instead. For Concordia News, I'm Michelle Levy.
We've brought you Easter bunnies. Now here's our very own Grinch. Last Saturday was Earth Hour. Tony Spears tells us why the planet is still no better off.
On Saturday, Montreal was plunged into an enlightening darkness. It was Earth Hour, where cities the world over turned off their lights to remind us that the environment is in dire straits. It began last year in Sydney, Australia, when 2.2 million Sydneysiders shut off their lights. If they'd stayed in the dark all year, they would have prevented 49,000 cars worth of greenhouse gas emissions from further polluting the planet. But they didn't. Instead, their hour of awareness got the equivalent of 6 cars off the road. All that effort to cut emissions by less than half a block of rush hour traffic? Still, it's not about the results. It's about the awareness, isn't it? Well, sure, but then don't most of us already know that the Earth is in trouble? Every day the news is filled with photos of ice shelves collapsing and the latest victims of global warming. So why do we need Earth Hour again? It's inescapable. We need Earth Hour so we can feel good about ourselves. So we can crawl back into our SUVs the next morning knowing that we've done our green deed for the year. The Earth cannot be saved by cheap publicity stunts. Instead, we need to change the way we live. How about taking public transit every once in a while? Or bringing your own bags to the grocery store? There are countless ways to make your lifestyle more planet-friendly, and Earth Hour is an excuse not to do any of them. If you just cut somebody's head off, would you offer them a Band-Aid? For Action Montreal, I'm Tony Spears.
That's all the time we have. For all of us at Action Montreal, I'm Bridget Forbes.
And I'm Sarah Hoyda. Thanks for watching.